turn off my air conditioner for a second. I'll give you a minute to pop back on because I ended the couples live. We'll just give you a minute to pop back on, then we'll talk about it. I ended the couples live. And I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. And share a different way to think. You again, yes. Just today is Education Day. Today is Soapbox Day, Education Day. But I think the last couple of days with some of the messages I've been getting, hi Cindy B, the last couple of days some of the messages I've been getting, it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to go heavy on the education. Because y'all, hate is derived from ignorance. And so I've been getting a lot of hate the last few days. And that means there's a lot of ignorant people that are seeing our page or Dave's work or my crafts, and they are just acting out of ignorance. And David does not, he doesn't go for that. Like if he can't, I schooled him, told y'all, if he would rather you physically talk to him or bring it to him, but because he looks the way he does look, nobody ever says anything to him. And I'm the same way, because I look the way I look in real life, nobody ever brings me the issue to my face. But I would rather you have a beef with me and talk through it and deal with me and have a communication, instead of passively and passive aggressively dropping little hints or leaving ghost messages or just trying to be a troll dick on the internet. I mean, let's just call it like it is. The reason that we do these things is because it's our culture. It's our heritage. Culture is a combined, generated, and sustained wealth of knowledge that follows a society. So as we lose these skills that our pioneer ancestors and our native ancestors taught us, we are losing our culture in this nation. And it seems to me that people are fighting for us to lose our culture, which would mean our society and its depth of meaning would be depleted. And we would have no historical context of who we are, where we came from, or what we're capable of. We would have no one that had knowledge of how to eat, live out of the woods, harvest roots, harvest certain plants. And people, it seems like they're fighting for this information, this culture, this historical knowledge to just evaporate from our society. But if you take the culture from the society, you erase the society. Hi, Denise. Well, I'm working in today, Denise. I apologize. And I just want people to understand that culture is not your culture. It's not just your beliefs. It's not just your background. It's not just your history. Culture in this land is everyone's background. All the immigrants, all the Chinese and Japanese immigrants that came over in the 1800s in the West to go after gold, all the natives, even the ones that everyone wants to scream colonizer about. It's all of our histories that go into the culture bucket that make our society and make it great. Why are so many people wanting to erase so much of our historical context and culture? Because without culture, society means diddly. And if society means diddly, they can recreate it to mean whatever they want. And so while some people are absolutely happy to be on their MacBook in a coffee shop on pavement and never see a blade of grass and think that their life is the only one that has any resonance in this world, I'm not that person. I think that the real wisdom came from just decades, and generations before me, of the people that lived under much harder circumstances, of the people that did much harder work, of the people that had to really absolutely bust their butts to survive and eat, that carved out this little space for us. And yes, they may not have done it in what you think is the most friendly way possible, but under the law of the time, it was how it occurred. And I think that we should respect those people and not try to erase our culture, because the knowledge that they gave to us went into our bucket, our culture bucket. Everyone's back history is in our culture bucket. That's what creates our society. And if you move to try to erase, oh, this person's culture doesn't mean anything to me, so it doesn't need to be part of our history. You are erasing the worth of all those people that you don't understand. And you're telling them you don't matter. How do you think that would make them feel? How arrogant do you think that is? Who is the person, who is the person at that point that is being a colonizer? You know, a lot of these people want to use these catchwords and these catchphrases, but they don't understand the application, and they don't understand what it does to our back history, to our culture, and to our society as a whole when they start to try to infiltrate, edit, and erase. And I'm just here saying, listen, y'all, if you know who you are, you know where you come from, stand up for it. Because your people helped carve out this nation, and they deserve to be respected. I don't care what role they played, and if they got extinguished, and I don't care how bad the story ended, they still deserve to be talked about and revered and respected, and their story still needs to be told. So whether you agree with that lifestyle or not, understand that it belongs to someone, and they deserve to tell that story, whether you agree with it or not. So, Gypsy, I'm glad that a lot of y'all go to your elders for advice and learn stuff and apply it to your livelihood, and understand that we all don't live alike, and that's okay. And that's okay. A lot of people that I watch on this platform live in the cities. They have completely different lifestyles from me. And you know something? I take the knowledge that I can from them, and I'm glad to have it. But I certainly don't dog them. You know, I certainly don't like get in their comment section and go, well, all you do is drink Starbucks, and I hope you choke on it one day. Why would I do that? That is their world. That is where they choose to place themselves, and that is what they're educated in. And so I just leave them alone. But it seems like it's very difficult for me to get that same respect in return. But now, like I said, that's why I arm myself with knowledge. And I will absolutely preach a sermon and inform you of how important this is to me, and how important this is to not only the Wildlife Resources Agency, but the conservation of all these animals. All these animals. The work that David did with the coyote population this year is probably going to save thousands this winter, from suffering from the sarcoptic mange that spread into them last year when it got so cold and they all had to den up. They spread mange, and they were miserable. Many died because they lost all of the hair. They got completely just inflamed and bloody, and you know how sarcoptic mange will do. And they had so many of them die. There were so many that he snared that literally were put out of their misery because they had no pelts left on them. And it was just kind of, well, at least we caught this one and put it out of its misery. And the TWRA was so thankful, because they were like, you all that have trapped these coyotes are saving next winter's coyotes from spreading this. Because while mange is one worry, sarcoptic mange is another, because it can be transmitted genetically through many generations. So, you know, there's a purpose for every life on this planet. And I just wish we understood each other that well. And so I don't think that the man that came on here was trying to be super rude. But I also, at this time of year, especially with all the hate messages I get, I have to be very clear about where I stand and where my boundaries are. because I get super disrespected this time of year because it's hunting season. And let me tell you what, the Manti hunters come out strong, but they also have no understanding of the life that we live. And so I have to come on heavy with the education. David would much rather just stand there at 6 foot tall and big burly man and say, "Bring it to me, by God," just, because nobody does. But I am the person that will let her rip. He lets me, as y'all can see. But I'm really trying to educate, and so we really do get 90-something% positive feedback. So it's just random, and it's timed during specific times that this happens, when people just get really animated online because of hunting season, and I think that they all have they take 2-week shifts in hunting season where they just troll people and just issue death threats, and it's stupid. And of all the death threats I've ever had, nobody's ever followed through. So it's just I used to supervise murderers, so a little 110-pound wafer eating chick on the internet is probably not going to intimidate me. So it's just okay. But now I did get one reply into one of the ghost messages, because he was like, "I hope you have a horrible death." And I was like, "I have a terminal diagnosis. Your wish is my command." So go have fun with it somehow. But as you can see, this is the time of year that I have to go into education mode. So bear with me. But this was also a great example of why our nation is in free fall, why we don't respect each other, why our culture is dying, why society is erasing certain things and recreating certain things and telling certain fibs as truth, and erasing certain truths and saying that they are fibs. And everyone's culture should be in the bucket. That's what should be able to make our society, and we should be able to talk about it all. Because without that huge, just conglomerate matrix of education from every society, what do we have? We have little dictators walking through our society saying, "You don't matter, only I matter." I'm not there. I refuse to allow that to happen. So tell your story. John, you tell people to have the day to deserve. That's great. That is, it's on them. I normally tell them that while they're up there, if they could check for polyps, my doctor would really appreciate that. And they normally leave me alone. And I do have a pretty good sense of humor, but the last few days they've come out, really hot and heavy. And I know that since we do talk about this and show our way of life, I have to be a heavy educator. And so that's what I try to do. And sometimes it hits me just the wrong way to where I go into parole officer, by God, you're going to listen to me for 5 minutes mode, and it comes out. But I tell you what, I'm really nice. And I've told you this so many times. I'm really nice. And I'm compassionate and sweet until I'm done. And then I'm done. And when I hit that line where I'm done, I'm done. And it ain't good. But I've never truly snapped super bad yet. I'm really proud that I've not snapped super bad, because David can verify that I can be an absolute hostile heifer hooch. So I can transform into something that would terrify you. And I try not to do that very often. But I try to educate first, and sternly. And because these people do not back down. And because they don't meet many people that can turn around and educate. They just meet people that run away. No, this is my life. This is my history. This is my culture. This is my ancestry. This is what matters to me. And if you're going to degrade it, then you're going to listen to me for 5 minutes. So, Jason Butterfield, I've had so many epic snaps. I will probably eventually have one. It's probably going to happen. I don't like when I go there. Even when I was a parole officer and had to have them, I didn't like when I went there then. And I really try to preach compassion and love. But I do have a line. And when I get there, I'm done. And, I've had so many things to be positive about this week, and it just seems like the devil wants to put so many negative things right in the middle of it. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to chase your little devil ass right on off of here. So I'm not the nicest person in the world. I know I look sweet and domesticated. I'm not the nicest person in the world. But I do want to mostly be positive and educational and purposeful on this platform. But it doesn't mean I will not stand up and explain why I behave the way I behave. And if you are in this nation, if you are in the US, you have a story that belongs in our society, in our culture, in the bucket. You matter. Everyone that has stood on this ground, on this land, matters. Your history, your ancestors should be in the culture bucket, and nobody should be able to pitch you out because they don't like the way you live. And if we keep pitching people out, pretty soon we're not going to know who we are, where we come from. We're not going to know our butt from a hole in the ground. And we've got to start letting people share their lives and saying, hey, I can take that or I can let it go, but I certainly don't need to respond in hate. I was ticked, but I was educationally ticked. But y'all, we all deserve to be heard. We all deserve to be heard. And I can't stress it any more than that. That's where I am on that. We all deserve to be heard. And what pisses me off, I tell you what pisses me off. This is what gets my goat. Is that everybody's screaming, Ukraine, Ukraine, we've got to support democracy in Ukraine. Okay, well, listen, Ukraine has lived their own way in their own historical society, cultural context. They're not a democracy. What's going on over there is not a democracy. They're not appealing for democracy. They're fighting their own battle. And they've not actually really truthfully asked and stated that they're interested in being a mimic of the United States. They are just wanting funds. I've got one fly in here, excuse me. They are just wanting funds to battle other people. But in order for them to get funds from us, they have to fight in a certain way or take on certain behaviors or reflect certain democratic undertones that our nation puts as stipulations on the money. So all the people that look at my Scots-Irish ancestors, of course I'm Cherokee too, but they look at my half of my Scots-Irish ancestors and they go, colonizer, but then they'll go, Ukraine, and I'm like, freaking colonizer? What do you think's going on over there? Have you listened to the people that are giving interviews, that are putting up videos? They don't want this crap. They don't want the puppet ties, the marionette strings that go with the money coming from the U.S. because they know, number one, they're not really getting it. And number two, they have no desire to live a life that mimics ours in the West. We're failing. But my Scots-Irish people that were sent here forcefully are colonizers. But they put that Ukraine flag up and are 100% behind what's going on over there. Read history. Read history. Apply it logically. Look. Open your eyes. Stop looking at the words and the little messages, the syrupy messages, and the tribalism and the groupthink that's going on in our nation. And start looking at what's really going on in other countries and go, gee, what does that look like? Have I seen this before? What are the people saying? What is the concern of the citizens? Not the government, not President Hoodie. What's the concern of the citizens? Has anybody understood that in the last week or two, Putin has begged U.S. citizens to never give up the rights to their guns? Why would a man that they say wants to nuke us and take us off the planet, why would he petition American citizens to never get up their 2A Amendment rights? Think, people. But we just become so passive and we just use words like colonizer and we want to degrade people and point fingers, but we don't want to sit down and actually look at the world with wide eyes and go, I think I need to read a little bit more about this, and I think I need to talk to people from here, and I think I need to go into the news sources that are not mainstream and go to local newspapers, small village news sites, start looking and seeking out citizens that are online speaking about this and doing videos, start going to other places to get your information, and you will start to see a different story. But I'm here to tell you, people, evil's taking over this world, and if we don't stand up, it's going to win. I saw Ryan's last video. Yeah. There's some weird crap going on there. I don't, when that story finally does break, I think the corruption that we're going to see is going to be, just, y'all know how I feel about it. My opinion is that we've seen somebody bought off to protect one of their own because somebody's been either funneling something big time and making money or looking elsewhere and getting paid to look elsewhere, to turn a blind eye. And sometimes I even wonder if maybe it's got an occult thing to it. So I've got lots of stuff going different ways. But I've seen a lot in court that is weird. So, but I really think this is going to be one of the weirder stories that our nation has ever seen if we understand what truly happened. Yeah, Natalie, Canada's big in group thing because something, Canadians are so freaking polite. Y'all are really polite. And I watch Viva Fry and I love him, but he's so freaking polite. And I'm like, cut loose, Viva, attack, and he never does. But he's a wealth of knowledge. He's a very good open thinker, and he looks back and he's very analytical. I'm a little bit more, I'm a little bit more curt about things. That's just how I am. It's just how I am. Now, I will preach positivity and peace and compassion till the cows come home, but once you tick me off, nah, that heifer's mad. You need to run. Close the gate on your way out. That's just how I am. But, that's just, I've supervised murderers for a decade, so that's just how I am. If you watch this case and then you go and you Google and you look for cases that mimic this Rodney case, you will start to understand how many children and young adults come up missing in our nation that go poof, but they go somewhere and they have a use. And that's why earlier in my earlier life, I started giving you words to look at, things to understand, understanding about evil and good, understanding that there are forces at play, understanding that these people, there's enough of them disappearing that if they were just out lost in the woods, we would be tripping over a skeleton every 7 foot when somebody went off a hiking trail. It's not possible. It's not plausible. So where are these people going? Where are these people going? Well, they're going to be a use for something. What is the use? That's up for you. You need to research and make your own mind up about it. That's my opinion. It's my opinion. Everyone that disappears, yeah, maybe 10% fell into a ravine or had a hunting accident, but something? The numbers are way too big. And if you notice in the young women that disappear, it goes by patterns. So for a while it'll be skinny blondes, then for a while it'll be buxy brunettes, and then for a while it'll be redheads, and then it goes by patterns. And I was trained in that in law enforcement. There's a reason for that too. But go watch David Paulides' channel. Go watch David Paulides' channel and start putting this together. People don't disappear just because. Not just because. Yeah, what is it about that woman? She's getting mad at DPP. Now listen, emotions and grief can make people do stupid things. And so she just may be having a stupid moment from grief, which is completely possible. But, if I was missing my child and didn't know where she was, boy, that glue was the hot steam come off of it. Wow. If I was missing my child and didn't know where she was and these people found her for me, you bet your sweet baby I'd be kissing their feet. I'd be kissing their feet and telling them I love them and asking Jesus to bless them and praying over everybody and every life they touched. I certainly wouldn't be mad at them because without them, I still wouldn't know where my child was. Does that follow the grief pattern at all? I mean, I can see her being upset and lashing out at the people that could have caused it or the law enforcement that overlooked it, but not at the people that found the child. It disrupts the normal pattern, normally the authentic grief pattern. And there's a lot of hormones that come out and a lot of chemical changes in the brain when grief happens and stuff. And so there's a lot of stuff that can, we can find some grace and apply. But y'all, something ain't right anymore. I mean, something stinks. Something stinks. So there's too many people that are upset that this young lady was found. I have got one fly in here and I'm fixing to murder it. It's killing me. Oh, it's rained all day and like everything that's been outside is like, let me in. It's poured all day here. But that's my I've been on a soapbox today, and maybe it's because I've got a little grandbaby and I've got to get this world turned around. And I've known this for a long time and I want the world to turn around. And maybe now I've got a fire under my butt. But I'm also starting to see the anti-hunters come out and leave me the ghost messages. And it's just like, really? Do you really think that the message you leave me 14 times every year for the last decade has really changed me? Because I'm still here and I'm still doing my thing. Why do you expend your energy here? But I know that if I was more accessible to them, I would be somebody they probably threw red paint on, or somebody probably tried to attack on the roadways or something. And I guess I'm probably lucky I'm extremely rural and I'm one way in, one way out, and I can hear you coming. But why are we so upset at all the past cultures that built our society? When we can't erase them, we can't stop it. We can't erase all their lineage, or I don't know, maybe that's the plot. So, but yeah, I've had a lot of thoughts today, and this world is not going in a good way. And if you have a curious minded dog, go watch the live I did earlier and start looking into those words, those phrases, and start really racking your brain and question yourself about, in some odd ways. Try to really stretch what you can compost and swallow as possible fact. And just fill it out for a little while and start watching with wider eyes and see what you start to see repeatedly and pronounced when you start looking. And you might be surprised. So, but I wanted to come on here and just kind of clarify why I snapped bad. Poor David was like, I'm out. And he does not like conflict unless you bring it to him, and then he'll handle it. Not many people bring him conflict. But I pretty much handle the conflict online. I really want to share the happiness and the contentment that I find from my ancestry and my lineage. And I really want to have 100% positive interaction. Every once in a while, we're going to have these people. And when I get on a soapbox, don't get scared of me. It's not, y'all know it's not y'all. It's the people that like to be turds. And I will always try to come from an educational standpoint, but I am a heifer. So expect a heifer to moo every once in a while. But I promise I'll come back and laugh about it. But yeah, I'm going to be heavy on education while I've got the haters coming out of the woodwork, because deer season's fixing to crank up and everybody's got to attack me. So, and my legs are so bad. Like, I didn't even buy my hunting license last year. I don't even think I bought them the last 2 years because it's not worth it for me. I can't, there's not enough places that I can physically hunt. It's not worth it for me. But they attack me anyway. And I get, it's comical, some of the stuff they say, because they obviously don't understand. But the thing is, if we don't start to stand up, aligned, united against these people that are trying to eradicate and erase certain people, certain demographics, we're going to lose all of that culture. Our society is going to have blank spots, and we're going to have such an ignorant void within our society that it's going to be meaningless. Our nation will be meaningless. And all it will be is flash words and phobic words. And I'm just not ready for the U.S. to turn into that. Just not. And I hope y'all aren't too. I'm hungry too. I'm going to go eat me some more ribs. Bring on the education. Y'all, I appreciate you. Soapbox, no. I appreciate you to spend your time with me and hang on when I have to deal with these people because I know it's frustrating. It frustrates me. And there's been a lot of frustration on the internet lately, and I try to handle it appropriately. But something, I am a turd. So I can be a heifer, and the heifer will moo every once in a while. But I will always come back. Like, I'll sleep on it tonight, and tomorrow I'll be my normal, happy, laughing self. And I normally will handle things if it's aimed toward me in a very comical manner because I don't care. But when you disrespect my husband and the hard work he does, I love that man. I am not just his soulmate. I am the woman that stands shoulder to shoulder with him, that attacks the world with him. And I'm a big old heifer, and he knows I'm a big old heifer. And so I am the person in battle with him in life. And I will stand up for my man. And I appreciate my husband. There are not many good men like him left. He adopted and raised my children. He's got a grandbaby, a brand new grandbaby. And he's like, it's not blood related, but that's my grandbaby. And he's smitten. And he works so hard. He works 50, 60, 70 hours a week. And then he does this first stuff for extra money to pay for a lot of my health care and my needs and my physical therapy and to keep me crafting so that my hands keep working. And he never complains. And so if you say anything about my husband, I am going to stand up very firm and get up and you crawl. That's just how it's going to be. Now, if you want to say something nasty about me, I'll probably laugh about it, but you don't talk about my husband. Took me a long time to find a good man. Now, if you want to talk about my ex-husband, he lives in Georgia. You can go find him. You can do whatever you want to him. Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, I had a rant the other day. Let people be what they need to be, and we need good men. We need good, strong men, and we need good, strong men so women can be soft. And I'm a heifer. I'm a country girl. I'm not that soft, but I know the value of a good, strong man with a backbone. So that's where I am on that. So I'm going to go eat me some more dinner. He's about done. He went to clean up, and he's going to rest the rest of the evening. And I'm going to try to chill out as well. Make sure the grandbaby got home okay. She looks so cute in her travel outfit. I can't share pictures. I'm trying to be respectful because they don't want pictures shared. Y'all, she's precious. She's precious. So I've got too much positive going on to stay in a bad mental mindset. But y'all, after I sleep on it, turn the page and I wake up and I'll be in a good mood tomorrow again. And we'll craft and laugh and we'll do something stupid. So I'm going to sign off for tonight and I'll see you tomorrow. I appreciate everybody that hung on through that. And apologize for being a turd. But something? I got to show my butt sometimes. I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.